Plant kingdom. In this chapter we study algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and zoosperms. Yes, I tell you along with the session I will tell you the PYQs, tricks, also concepts clear. Every word to word I will explain you. Now, in the previous chapter, we looked at the broad classification of living organisms under the system proposed by Whittaker. In 1969, Whittaker proposed five classification. They are the Monera, Protista, Fungi, Animalia, and Plantia. All three first kingdoms we have studied in the second chapter. In third chapter, we study Plantia and Animalia. So just the five kingdom classification. And in this chapter, we will deal in detail with further classification within kingdom Plantia, properly called known as the plant kingdom. In this particular third chapter, we will only focused on the plant kingdom only, which is proposed by R.H. Whittaker in 1969. We must stress here that our understanding of plant kingdom has changed over time. Fungi and members of Monera protista having cell walls have now been excluded from Plantia, though earlier classification placed them in a same kingdom. So the cyanobacteria that have also referred to as blue-green algae are not algae anymore. In this chapter, we will describe algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and zoosperms under Plantia. Under Plantia, the five divisions are there, which are these: algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, zoosperms, and the Plantia. It is only an introduction part, not much more important, but we read it. Let us also look at a classification within angiosperms to understand some of the concepts that influenced the classification systems. The earliest system of classification used only gross superficial morphological characters such as habit, color, number, shape of leaves, etc. These properties considered in earlier time. It was gross superficial morphology, and they were based mainly on vegetative character or on the androecium structure system given by Linnaeus. On the basis of character division or the huh? ಯಾರು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ androecium androecium on the basis of androecium structure division is made by Linnaeus, and such systems were artificial, and they separated the closely related species since they were based on the few characteristics. Also, artificial system gave equal weightage to vegetative and sexual characteristics. This is not acceptable since we know that often the vegetative characters are more easily affected by environment. Morphological or the vegetative characters were affected by the environment. That's why though they were both considered sexual and vegetative, but vegetative is affected by the environment. As against these natural classification systems developed, which were based on natural affinities among the organisms and considered not only the extreme features but also internal features. After it, natural classification system came, which is based on the not only external features, also internal internal features like ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, phytochemistry, such as classification of flowering plants was given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. Here, these internal features, were also considered. Ultrastructure, anatomy means internal study of internal structure of the plants or animals, embryology and phytochemistry. Here, Bentham, it was this classification system was given by George Bentham, also along with Joseph Dalton Ocker. And here, the most important thing is that here the PYQ in is came in this line. That is, at present, phylogenetic classification system based on evolutionary relationships between various organisms are acceptable. This assumes that organisms belongs to the same taxa, have a common ancestor. Yes, this was a PYQ line. It tells about evolutionary relationship, evolutionary relationship, and it also states that evolutionary relationship is nothing but phylogenetic classification. Phylogenetic and evolution were most related words. Here, in the phylogenetic study or evolutionary relationship study, we study the organism of a particular taxa to their ancestor. The particular taxa animals were similar to those of their ancestors. For example, dog, cat, or bird, they were all taxa at different levels. Same taxa organisms have same similar ancestors. Their ancestors similar. Ancestors nothing but purvajanaru. And these becomes more important where there no supporting fossil evidence. That we now use information from many of other sources to help resolve difficulties classification. If we don't find the evolutionary relationship or fossil to found the to find which division it belongs to, then we can use other things, other things also, like numerical taxonomy, which is now easily carried out using computers based on all observable characteristics, and number and decodes are assigned to all characters and the data are then processed. Numerical taxonomy belongs to the computers, is based on computers, which observes the all characters, and number and codes were assigned to a character to identify, and in this way each character is given importance, and at the same time hundreds of characters can be considered in numerical taxonomy. Not only one, many as hundreds of cytotaxonomy, that is based on the cytological information like chromosome number, structure, behavior, and cytotaxonomy. Cyto means it is about a cell means chromosome number or a structure and behavior of the chromosomes is cytotaxonomy. Chromosome number or a structure or behavior, all about structure and behavior and the number of chromosomes only. And taxonomy, that is, we uses the chemical constituent of plant to resolve confusions, are also used taxonomists these days. Chemical taxonomy is nothing but chemical. The word itself says about chemical constituents. And now algae are the chlorophyll bearing. It contains chlorophyll, simple organism with a thalide means which is flattened shape. Thalide means which is full of flattened shape, and autotrophic and largely aquatic. Autotrophic means which synthesize their own food. Here the chlorophyll is present, then it will autotrophic. Obviously it is autotrophic. And next, both freshwater and marine water is present, and they occur in Variety of other habitats, moss, stones, soils, and wood. Some of them also occur in association with fungi is called as lichens, and animals is example of sloth bear. The form and size of the algae is highly variable, ranging from colonial forms like oilworks and filamentous form like Olothrix spirogyra. It is a PYQ here, that is the form of size, the form and size of algae is highly variable. It is a variable ranging from colonial. Colonial means it arranged like this colonial and form old books. It is example is old books can be filamentous form can be seen in old books algae and colonial seen in the old books and filamentous seen in the Eulothrix. Filamentous colonial means like this. It is group of cells colonial. Here the filament is like this. Sorry, it was confused by me. It was example of Eulothrix, also Spirogyra. I will clear you. That is, the colonial means it is group of cells connected is colonial, but filamentous like this. They arranged one after one. That is, this type of colonial can be seen in the Eulothrix, Eulothrix, Eulothrix and Spirogyra. Spirogyra. Here, filamentous can be seen in the only organism all looks. Clear? Yes. Next is a few of marine forms such as kelps form marsupial bodies. Kelps is a marine organism which is marsupial body, which consists of marsupial body, and algae reproduce by vegetative or sexual methods. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation, and each fragment develop into a thallus, and asexual reproduction is by production of different types of spores, the most common being the zoospores. Here the production of different types of spores is called asexual spores, which is example of zoospores, and they are flagellated nothing but motile, and on germination gives rise to a new plant. Sexual reproduction takes place through fusion of two gametes. These gametes can be flagellated and similar in size as in Eulothrix, or non-flagellated, non-motile but similar in size like Spirogyra. Such reproduction is called as isogamous, and fusion of two gametes dissimilar in size as in species of Eudorina is termed as anio and isogamous. And isogamous is dissimilar sizes of gametes, which can be seen in the Eudorina. Fusion of between one large, one motile, nothing but static. Motile, nothing but non-motile is nothing but static, and one is a large and another one is a non-motile female gamete. Non-motile is female gamete, and smaller is female, larger is male, smaller is non-motile, and larger is motile. Motile male gamete is termed as oogamous. Only a motile gamete of male gamete is called oogamous, can be seen in the holox and fucus. Holox and fucus. Now, these are the examples here. This structure is called colonial. Colonial can be seen in Eulothrix in holox. It is a holox. Now it was a filamentous like this, one after one. It was arranged. These called as this type of can be seen in Eulothrix and Spirogyra, but this particular one is Spirogyra. Spirogyra. Next, here it called parent colony, and here daughter colony. It was called daughter colony. Now here the front. It was called as front. This whole thing is called front. and here the stripe. And go first, it was a laminaria, which is brown algae. These all three were brown algae. Brown algae. And the first one is laminaria, and second one is fucus, and third one is dictata. In laminaria, front stripe or first we can see the parts, and next in fucus, it was fucus. They present air bladder front. Along with front, the special thing is this is was air bladder. And next midrib is there along with holdfast. Holdfast front were same, but midrib and the air bladder were new things in the fucus. Dictota consists of front and stripe. No holdfast is present in the dictota. Now red algae. In red algae, Porifera and Polysifonia, two examples were given. It is the front, and here the main axis one. Here the branches. These were branches. The main axis. These. Yes, here the given. Green algae were Volvox ulotrex. The brown algae Laminaria ficus dictata. The red algae is Porifera Polysifonia. Next, algae are useful to man in a variety of ways. At least half of the total carbon dioxide fixation on Earth is carried out by algae through photosynthesis. Being photosynthetic, they increase the level of dissolved oxygen in their immediate environment. Algae are useful to man variety, and at least of half of the total carbon fixation. Half of the carbon fixation was done by these organisms only, and algae is photosynthetic. Being photosynthetic, they increase the level of dissolved oxygen. They also increase the dissolved oxygen in the immediate environment. Also, fixation of carbon dioxide takes place by these algae, and they are paramount importance as primary producers of energy-rich compounds which form the basis of food cycles of aquatic animals. They are energy-rich food. They have more importance. They can form energy food substance, and here they are the food cycles of the aquatic animals. They take part in the food cycle of the aquatic animals. Many species of Porifera, Laminaria, Sargassum, many of them were 70 species of the marine algae used as a food. Most 70% of food, 70 species of food algae, 70 species of algae were used as food. And few examples also given: Porifera, Laminaria, and Sargassum. We are used as food, and certain marine brown and red algae produce large amount of hydrocolloid or water holding substances. We are formed by brown or red algae. And example, algin. For that example, algin is a brown algae and carrageen is a red algae, which are water holding substances or hydrocolloids, and which are used commercially, for commercially making money. And agar, one of the commercial product obtained from Gelidium glaciaria, are used to grow microbes and in preparation of ice creams and jellies. Use the agar, which is a substance taken from these algae only. It is a product which was extracted from the algae, which is used from the Gelidium and the Glaciaria. Both organisms of Gelidium from and also Glaciaria, agar is taken out for using making of ice creams and jellies. Here the chlorella, unicellular alga, which is rich in the protein used as a food supplement even by space travelers. Here the chlorella is unicellular, only one-celled organism which is used in the used by space travelers as food. And now algae are divided into three types as chlorophylla, phaeophylla and rhodophylla. Chlorophylla is nothing but green alga, rhodophylla is nothing but brown alga, and rhodophylla is nothing but red alga. The members of chlorophylla are commonly called green algae. The plant body may be unicellular, colonial, or filamentous. They are usually grass green due to the dominance of pigments chlorophyll A and B. The pigments are localized in definite chloroplasts. The chloroplasts may be discoid plate like or reticulate, cup shaped, spiral, or ribbon shaped in different species. Most of the members have one or more storage bodies called pheranoids located in the chloroplasts. Pheranoids contain proteins besides starch. Some algae may store food in the form of oil droplets. Green algae usually have a rigid cell wall made up of inner layer of cellulose and an outer layer of pectose. Vegetative reproduction usually takes place by fragmentation or by formation of different types of spores. Asexual reproduction is by flagellated zoospores produced in zoosporangia. The sexual reproduction shows considerable variation in type and formation of sex cells, and it may be isogynous, aenogynous, or oogynous, and some commonly found green algae are Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Spirogyra, Khara. These were examples. Forgettable things. You should note it in short notes to see frequently to revise it on Sunday. Here you can see that first sexual spores were of different types. Sexual spores reproduction is consists of different spores as isogynous. Isogynous means two gametes were similar in size, and aenogynous means one is large and another one is small. And oogynous is nothing but one is motile, another one is non-motile. Next, here the phaeophylla. Phaeophylla is nothing but it is brown algae. It's brown algae. And now members of the phaeophylla or brown algae are found primarily in marine habitats. They found in the marine habitats, and they show great variation in size and forms. They range from simple branched filamentous form to profusely branched form as represented by kelps, which is reach a height of 100 meters. It consists of a small plant to large one. Kelps is one which is example of height, consists of height of 100 meters of height. It is the smallest branched simple filamentous is Ectocarpus. Largest one is kelps, and they possess chlorophyll AC. Chlorophylla consists here. Chlorophylla consists of chlorophyll AB, and here phaeophylla consists of chlorophyll AC, and next rhodophylla consists of AD. Like this it is. And next here the carotenoids and xanthophylls also it contains, and they vary in color from olive green to various shades of brown depending upon the amount of xanthophyll pigment vicosanthin present in them. Variety of variety of colors like olive green to the shaded brown color depending on the how much amount is the xanthophyll and vicosanthin present in phaeophylla. And here food is stored in complex carbohydrates, which may be in form of laminarin or mannitol. The stored food of these two cells have a cellulosic wall, usually covered on outside of by a gelatinous coating of algae. The protoplast contain, in addition to plastids, a certain centrally located vacuole and nucleus. The plant body is usually attached to the substratum by a holdfast and was a stalk and as a stalk and the stipe and leaf like photosynthetic organ the front. And vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction in most brown algae is by biflagellated juice pus that are pear-shaped and have two unequal lateral attached flagella. Sexual reproduction may be isogomous, synagomous, or oogomous, and union of gametes may be takes place in water or within the oogonium. It is called oogomous species, and the gamete are feriform, nothing but pear-shaped, and bear two laterally attached flagella, and the common forms are ectocarpus, dictota, lamarine, sargassum, and fucus. These are the examples of Phaeophysia. And the rhodophysia, the word itself says about the red algae, and because of the predominance of red pigment are physioerythrin, it was in red color because of pigment of R. physioerythrin, and majority of the red algae are marine with great concentrations found in warmer region, and they occur in both well lighted regions close to the surface of water are also at great depths in oceans where relatively little light penetrates. And the red algae of the most of the red algae are the multicellular. Some of them have a complex body organization. The food is stored as a Freudian starch, which is very similar to the amylopectin and glycogen in structure. And red algae usually reproduce vegetatively by fragmentation. They reproduce asexually by the non-motile spores and sexually by non-motile gametes. And sexual reproduction is oogomous and accompanied by complex post-fertilization developments. The common members are Polycyphonia, Porifera, Glazerelia, and Gelidium. These are the examples. Gelidium, Glazerelia, which produce a substance agar, which is used for the making of ice creams, jellies, etc. And the bryophytes include the various mosses and rhizoids that are found commonly growing in moist shaded areas in hills. Bryophytes are also called amphibians of plant kingdom because these plants can live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. They usually occur in damp, humid, and shaded localities. They play an important role in plant succession on bare rocks or the soil, and the plant body of the bryophytes is more differentiated than that of the algae. It is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substratum by a unicellular or multicellular results. They lack true roots, stem, or leaves, and they may possess true root like, leaf like, stem like structures. The main plant body of the bryophytes is haploid, and it produces gametes and hence is called a gametophyte. And the sex organs in the bryophytes are multicellular. The male sex organ is called as antheridium, and they produce biflagellated antherozoids, and the female sex organ called archegonium is flask shaped and produces a single egg. Here, the antherozoids are released into water where they come in contact with the archegonium. An antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce a zygote. Zygote do not undergo reduction division immediately. They produce a multicellular body called sporophyte, and the sporophyte is not free living but attached to the photosynthetic sporophyte undergo reduction. Photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it, and some cells of the sporophyte undergo reduction division, nothing but meiosis, to produce haploid spores. These spores germinate to produce gametophyte. Bryophytes in general are little economic importance, but some mosses provide food for herbaceous mammals, birds, and other animals. Species of Spanum moss provide peat that have long been used as fuel and as packing material for transshipment of living materials because of the capacity of old water. Mosses, along with the lichens, are the first organism to colonize rocks and hence are great ecological importance. They decompose rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. Since mosses form dense mats on soil, they produce the impact of falling rain they reduce the impact of falling rain and prevent soil erosion. The pyraphids are divided into labroots and mosses. Labroots are grow usually in moist, shady habitats such as banks of streams and marshy grounds, damp soil, bark of trees, and deep in woods. The plant body of labroots is thalloid. Example: Merchantia. The thalla is dorsiventral and closely pressed to the substratum. The leafy members have tiny leaf-like appendages in two rows of the stem-like structure, and asexual reproduction is in labroots takes place by fragmentation of the thalli or by formation of specialized structure called gamma, or in singular it was called as gamma. And gamma are green multicellular sexual buds which are developed in small receptacles called as gamma cups and located on the thalli. The gamma become detached from the parent body and germinate to form new individuals. During sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs are produced either on the same or on different thalli. The sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta, capsule, and after meiosis, spores and are produced within the capsule, and these spores germinate to form free living gametophyte. Mosses, the predominant stage of mosses, the predominant stage of life cycle of mosses is gametophyte, which consists of two stages. The first stage is protonema stage, which develops directly from the spore. It is creeping, green, branched, and frequently filamentous stage. The second stage is leafy stage, which is develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. They consist of upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves, and they are attached to the soil through multicellular and branched rhizoids, and this stage bears a sex organs. Vegetative reproduction in mosses is by the fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema. In sexual reproduction, the sex organs antheridia and archegonia are produced at the apex of leafy shoots. After fertilization, the zygote develops into sporophyte consisting of fruit, seta, and capsule. The sporophyte in mosses is more elaborate than the liverots, and the capsule contains spores. Spores are formed after meiosis. The mosses have an elaborate mechanism of spore dispersal, and common examples of mosses are the Funaria, Polytrichum, Spanum, and pteridophytes. The pteridophytes include hostas and ferns. Pteridophytes are used for medicinal purposes and soil binders. They are also frequently grown as ornamentals. Evolutionarily, they are first terrestrial plants in the which possesses vascular tissues like xylem and phloem. You shall study more about these tissues in chapter 6. And pteridophytes are found in cool, damp, shady places, though some may flourish well in shady soil conditions. You may recall that perhaps the dominant phase in the life cycle is gametophyte plant body, and however, in pteridophytes, the stem and leaves. Pteridophyte main plant body is sporophyte, which differentiate into true root and stem and leaves, and these organs possess well differentiated vascular tissues. The leaves in pteridophytes are small microphytes, and as in Selaginella or large as macrophytes as in ferns, and the sporophyte bear sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called as sporophylls, and in some cases sporophylls may form distinct compact structure called strobili or cones, Selaginella and Equisida. Here the sporangia produce spores by meiosis in spore mother cell. and the spores germinate to give rise to inconspicuous small but multicellular free living, mostly photosynthetic thallid gametophytes called photothallus, and these gametophytes require cool, damp, shady places to grow. And because of these specific restrict restricted requirement and need for the water for fertilization, the spread of living pteridophytes is limited and restricted to narrow geographical regions. The gametophytes bear male and female sex organs called antheridia and archegonia, respectively. Water is required for transfer of antherozoids, and the male gamete released from the antheridia and to the mouth of the archegonium. Fusion of male gamete with the egg present in archegonium result in the formation of zygote, and zygote thereafter produce multicellular well differentiated sporophyte, which is dominant phase of the pteridophytes. And the majority of the pteridophytes, all the spores are similar kinds. Such plants are called as homosporous, and genera like Selaginella and Salvia, which produce two kinds of spores, macro and micro. Small and large spores are known as heterosporous, and the megaspores and microspores germinate and give rise to female and male gametophyte respectively. The female gametophytes in these plants are retained on the parent sporophyte for variable periods, and the development of zygote into young embryo takes place within the female gametophyte. This event is precursor to the seed appetite, considered an important step in evolution. The pteridophytes are further classified into four classes: Polycephalopsida, also called as it is an for this kind. The example is Celotum, and Lycopsida. In this class, there's examples were Salaginella and Lycopodium, and the Synopsida. In this classes, Equisetum is an example, and Pteropsida, which is consists of Diapteris, Teres, and Iodentum. Now, gymnosperms. Here, gymno means naked and sperm means seed, are plant in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remain exposed, but both bear and both before and after fertilization. The seed that develop post fertilization are not covered, that is, are naked. And the gymnosperms include medium-sized trees or tall trees and shrubs. One of the gymnosperm, the giant redwood tree sequoia, is one of the tallest tree species, and here the roots are generally tap roots. Here PYQ we can see in this in the topic of gymnosperm, most PYQ we are done. All the lines we are about PYQ about mycorrhizas, sequoia, redwood tree sequoia, and the roots in the genera have a fungal association. Mycorrhiza, it is also asked one, and here ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remained exposed. It was also PYQ. And in some other cycles, have a small specialized roots called correlate roots associated with the end of fixing bacteria called cyanobacteria, and the stem are it was also PYQ, unbranched in cycas, while branched in pinus and cedrus. The leaves may be simple or compound. These all were PIQ. And the next, the leaves may be simple or compound, and cycas, the pinnate leaves persist for a few years, and the leaves in gymnosperms are well adapted to withstand extreme of temperature, humidity, and wind. In conifers, the needle-like leaves reduce the surface area. It is also important one. And next, their thick cuticle and sunken stomata also help in reduce water also. The gymnosperms are heterosporous. They produce haploid microspores and megaspores. The two kinds of spores are produced within the sporangia that are borne on sporophylls, which are arranged spirally along an axis to form lacs or compact strobili or cones. The strobili bearing microphylls and microsporangia are called microsporangiate or male strobili, and the microspores develop into male gametophytic generation, which is highly reduced and confined to only limited number of cells. This reduced gametophyte is called as pollen grain, and the development of pollen grain takes place within the microsporangia, and the cones bearing megasporophylls which with ovules or megasporangia are called macrosporangiate or a female strobili, and the male or the female cones or strobili may be borne on the same tree like in Pinus, and however in Cycas male cones and megasporophylls are borne on different plants. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the cells of the nucellus, and this nucellus is protected by a envelopes, and composite structure is called as ovule, and the ovules are borne on megasporophylls which may be clustered to form female cones, and the megaspore mother cell divides vertically to form four megaspores. One of the megaspore enclosed within the megasporangium develop into a multicellular female gametophyte that bear two or more archegonia or female sex organ. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within the megasporangium. Unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes, in gymnosperms, the male and female gametophytes do not have an independent free living existence. They remain within the sporangia, retained on the sporophytes. The pollen grain is released from the microsporangium, and they carried in air currents and come in contact with the opening of the ovule bone and megasporophylls, and the pollen tube carrying the male gametophyte gametes grows towards archegonia in ovules and discharge their content near the mouth of the archegonia, and following fertilization zygote develop into embryo and ovules into seeds, and these seeds are not covered. Now angiosperms. Angiosperms were deleted in the NEET exam, but we read it. It was also in the second year. The whole sexual reproduction chapter of flowering plants. It was all all about the angiosperms only. Angiosperms. Unlike the gymnosperms, where the ovules are naked, in the angiosperms or flowering plants, the pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structure called flowers. And in angiosperms, the seeds are enclosed in fruits, and the angiosperms are an exceptionally large group of plants occurring in wide range of habitats, and they range in size from the smallest olivia to tallest tree of eucalyptus, and which is 100 meters, and they provide us with a food, fodder, fuel, medicines, and several other commercial important products. They are divided into two classes: dicotyledons and monocotyledons. The dicotyledons are characterized by seed having two cotyledons and reticulate venation. In leaves, the tetramerous and pentamerous flowers, that is, having 4 or 5 members in each floral whorls. The monocotyledons, on the other hand, are characterized by single cotyledonous seeds which are parallel venation, and in leaves and trimerous flowers having 3 members in each floral whorls, and the male sex organ in flower is stamen, and each stamen consists of slender filament with anther at the tip, and within the anthers the following into pollen grains, and the female sex organ in flower is the pistil, and pistil consists of swollen ovary at its base and a long slender style and stigma. And inside the ovary, ovals are present. Generally, each oval has a megaspore mother cell that undergo meiosis to form four haploid megaspores, and the three of them degenerate and one divided into four to form the embryo sac. And each embryo sac have three celled egg apparatus, one egg cell and two synagoid and three antipodal cells, two polar nuclei, and the polar nuclei eventually fuse. The dilated portions is there. Here the summary. Summary. The plant life cycle and alternation of generation also deleted. Plant kingdom includes algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. Algae are chlorophyll-bearing, simple thalloid, autotrophic, and largely aquatic organisms. Depending on the type of pigment possessed and the type of stored food, algae are classified into three classes, namely chlorophysia, phaeophysia, rhodophysia. Algae usually reproduce vegetatively by fragmentation, asexual by the formation of different types of spores, and sexually by the formation of gametes, which may show isogamy, anisogamy, or ogamy. And the bryophytes are plants which can live in a soil but are dependent on the water for their sexual reproduction, and their plant body is more differentiated than that of the algae. It is thallus like prostate or erect and attached to the substratum by rhizoids. They possess root like, leaf like, and stem like structures. And the bryophytes are divided into liveroids and mosses, and the plant body of the liveroids is thalloid and dorsiventral. Various mosses have upright, slender axes bearing spiral arranged leaves, and the main plant body of the bryophytes is gamete reproduced and is called gametophyte, and it bears the male sex organ called antheridia, and female sex organ called achegonia, and the male and female gamete fuse to form zygote, and which produce a multicellular body called as sporophyte. It produces haploid spores, and the spores germinate to form gametophytes. In pteridophytes, the main plant is a sporophyte, which is differentiated into true root, stem, and leaves. These organs possess well differentiated vascular tissues, and the sporophyte wear sporangia, which produce spores, and the spores germinate to form gametophyte, which require cool, damp places to grow. And the gametophytes bear male and female sex organ called antheridia and archegonia respectively. The water is required for transfer of male gametes to the archegonium, where zygote is formed. After fertilization, the zygote produces a sporophyte. Now, gymnosperms are the plants in which ovals are not enclosed by any ovary wall, and after fertilization the seed remain exposed, and therefore these plants are called naked seeded plants. And the gymnosperms produce microspores and megaspores, which are produced in microsporangia and megasporangia, born on sporophylls, and sporophylls, microphylls, and megasporophylls. Sporophylls are two types, microsporophylls and megasporophylls, are arranged spirally on the axis to form the male and female cones respectively. The pollen grain germinates, and pollen tube releases the male gametophyte into the oval, and which it fuses with the egg cell in archegonia, and following fertilization, zygote development into embryo and ovals into seeds. In angiosperms are divided into two classes, are dicotyledons and monocotyledons. Yes, this chapter was finished.